it's not too often that I talk about Pitt in a positive light, but I'll tell you this. They put on an excellent event in the PWC, the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club #2, which was held live on Rokfin. And there were some great cards in the event. Ronnie Perry and Quentin Perez, which was one of my favorite matches of the night. Chance Marstellar and Evan Wick, as well as the main event, Luke Pletcher and Dean Heil. I'm going to give you all the details on this card, especially the Luke Pletcher and Dean Heil match, because that was a heck of a match. Luke Pletcher put on an excellent performance. So PWC, the Pittsburgh Wrestling Club, put on this card, and live on Rokfin, you can actually check it out. I have it linked up down in the description below for you to watch the full event if you are a Rokfin subscriber. But Zeb Miller and Nika Megaludis commentated the event, which was started with some youth matches as kind of the undercard and led into the main event. And it was kind of cool to see the youth matches, because if you know anything about Pennsylvania wrestling, they have a lot to showcase from youth all the way up through high school, and then of course in the collegiate level, there's a lot to showcase in Pennsylvania. But the first event started out with with Quentin Perez and Ronnie Perry. These two put on a show. This was Perry's first time back to the mat, actually, since his NCAA finals, which, I mean, an incredible NCAA performance that he had that year, making the finals as the number 15 seed against Zane Rutherford. And Quentin Perez was making his return back to the mat, and he actually wrestled about a month ago, I believe, in New Jersey against Joe Grello when he put up a win there, a great win for Quentin Perez. Perez now training at the Navy RTC, formerly a Campbell wrestler, and he is always a joy to watch on the mat. But he put up some points on Perry, but Perry was just, I mean, these two, I bet you could wrestle this match 2-3 times and you could get a different score every time. Because Perez was able to get the first score on Perry, and I'm actually, because I keep getting confused with Perez and Perry, two P names. Quentin was actually able to get the first score on Perry, and Perry was able to get the first takedown. So Perez actually, they keep wrestling through a bunch of different positions, but eventually, kind of at the end of the first, Perez is actually able to get big points off of exposure. And this is the move he hit here, the Winn-Dixie. It was kind of a crazy exposure move that he was able to hit there. He was able to score points and go up 8-2 leading into the break. And he was so close to pinning Perry. Like, he was this close to pinning Perry until time ran out. But Perry started coming back after the break. He started coming back big time. He was able to score 3 takedowns. Perez was actually able to get 1 push out. Quentin was able to get 1 push out on him. He was up 9-8 with 1 minute left. Perez gets exposure again with that and goes up 11-8. But eventually, Perry's able to get another takedown and push out. He goes up 11-11, gets that final takedown. Wins on criteria. I mean, this is a match that you need to watch. This was a thriller of a match. These are the type of matches that I like to see in the freestyle wrestling cards. Get Quentin Perez, get Ronnie Perry, get them on more cards. They need to be wrestling more. We saw then Demetrius Thomas pick up a tech, followed by Chance Marstellar picking up a tech over Evan Wick. He went from a takedown straight to exposure and was up 6-0 within the first minute, able to get another takedown into a leg lace and teched Evan Wick in the first 2 periods. Now, Evan Wick was able to get the better of Chance Marstellar the last couple of times that they have wrestled, but Chance Marstellar had nothing but good things to say about Evan Wick. He kind of said he went out there. He's like, I'm just going out there. I'm going out there to wrestle, going out there to have a good time, kind of do my thing. But I think the more important thing about what Chance Marstellar said is a couple of things. One, he dedicated the match that he won to Mikey Racciato, who unfortunately passed away, Pitt wrestler who passed away on Christmas Day in this past year. But he also said this beautiful message. He said he's been through a lot of tough times. And if you know the Chance Marstellar story, you know that that's true. He's been through a lot of difficult times. But he said he dug himself out of this hole. And the kind of his message here was, if you are struggling, if you are going through something difficult in difficult times like that, to just reach out to him if you ever need help. And I think that that's a message that I wanted to share, because there are so many wrestlers that go through this tough time after wrestling, or even while they're struggling during wrestling with whatever they're dealing with. And it's so tough to find out, talk to somebody about that. And I think Chance Marstellar would be the guy to talk to about something like this. It's a message that I wanted to share because I thought it was important. Even more important than the wrestling that he did in this match was the message that he shared afterwards. There were a couple of other matches before we got, or there was one more match. Dina Guilford, who beat Victoria Francis, actually. Dina beat her, I believe it was a score of 4-2, and then that led us into the Dean Heil and Luke Pletcher match. Dean Heil, the two-time national champ out of Okie State, now training at the Navy RTC with Coach Cole, adding training with Quentin Perez, took on Luke Pletcher, the two-time All-American and Big Ten champ, who I think could have won a national title last year. But Pletcher has been on the mat recently. Both these guys have kind of been wrestling on the mat recently in some of these freestyle events. Luke Pletcher lost to Lugo in the first big freestyle event of last year, on the Rumble on the Rooftop in a close match, but he was able to come back since then, beating Darian Caldwell, beating Habit, and now beating Dean Heil. A great match for Luke Pletcher. First period, Pletcher was able to score off of a gator roll, that was so cool to see Luke Pletcher hit the gator roll, hit that move. And then Heil was able to get a push out after getting, these two were in like a locked up body position. Heil was able to get locked up around Luke Pletcher, and Pletcher was almost about to get launched there, but off of his own shot, but was able to ultimately just get a point there. Was up 3-0 was Pletcher, who got one more push out. Pletcher, then Pletcher hits this right here. He hits one of the most beautiful high crotches that I've seen in quite some time to go up 5-1 at the break. Just phenomenal shots. So quick was Luke Pletcher. And Megaludus was kind of talking as we get into the second, as we get after the break, and saying just it was so hard for anybody to get to Pletcher's legs. His tree trunk thighs are just difficult to shoot on. His defense is just so difficult to get in on. And although Heil was able to shoot in a couple times, Pletcher was just too much for him. Pletcher went behind on one of Heil's shots, and then Dean's able to get into the legs again after that, but Pletcher defends, and it's kind of looking like Dean's a little bit tired with about 30 seconds left in the match. Pletcher was kind of wearing on him, tearing him down, and the final score to that match with that takedown made it 7-1. Luke Pletcher won the match, and a great match it was, because this was the second Pittsburgh Wrestling Club event, the second one where Luke Pletcher was the main event, and I hope we see more of these, because Pitt actually put on a really good show. It was short, it was to the point, it had great cards, and I hope that we see more of these guys wrestling.